This morning, I get to share from one of my more favorite subjects. And I hope that you brought some type of a Bible. I think it's important to use the Bible as the base for everything that we preach and teach. So if you have a Bible, be it in a physical form or electronic form, please follow me to Matthew chapter 9, verse 36. It would be good to know what 35 says also, but Matthew chapter 9, verses 36 through 38. And those of you who have outlines, you can follow through, and I will make sure I pause so that the outlines are filled out. Matthew chapter 9, verse 36. Here's what it says. It says, "But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion for them, because they were wearied and scattered like sheep, having no shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, 'The harvest truly is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his field.'" I want to talk about seeing the harvest. Sent. I want to continue to focus on sent. Sent to engage our neighborhood together. That's what it is. I think, matter of fact, I know, the word evangelism makes a lot of church people uncomfortable. A lot of times when it's evangelism, it brings up some anxiety. The thought of me standing out and sharing gospel with someone or saying to someone, "Try Jesus. Are you a believer? It's that whole thing is something that you don't even see very much anymore. I think when we talk about ways to get back to what we used to do, some things we need to get back to doing. And I mean the basics. Basic teaching about the scriptures. It does me no good to give you the Greek version of what evangelism is or what gospel is. Give you Greek when you don't know the English. Let's get to the basics and basic church operations. We come together, we worship, and then we go out and then we share the gospel of Jesus Christ. We love the idea of people being saved. We just quietly hope someone else does the asking part. But the New Testament never presents evangelism as the call of a gifted few. It's the identity of the entire church. I would say it this way. In evangelism, as I go forward, I'll get to it, but evangelism is not a church program. It's not pressure. It's not marketing. Evangelism begins with vision. It begins with not a strategy, a vision. And so before Jesus ever told his disciples to go, he showed them how to see the people. He says, look, and so he looks at people, he sees them as people needing compassion. Everyone, that's how he looks at people. And so now, in a village that we live in, or that we surround ourselves with, you know what? It's easy to assume everybody's fine. They're okay. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's pretty moral, you know. But the truth of the matter is, that's not the case. Truth of the matter is, if we look really close, people are just okay. If you look in the heart, in the private matters, some people are struggling. Some people are hurting. Some people are seeking. Some people are desiring. Some people are really unsure. Some people have an idea of something and they don't know what it is. And here's the one thing that's really starting to bother me, is this idea of, I'm spiritual. That's weird. That's my young people word. That's weird. That's weird to me. To just say I'm spiritual, what do you mean? We're all spiritual. You're spiritually dead or spiritually alive. We're all spiritual. And so now, this idea, are you a Christian? No, I'm not a Christian anymore. I'm just spiritual. People are saying to you in your face that I'm rejecting the church because the church, too many times, is not responding as a church. But it's not going to be our case here. That's not going to be the witness of First Baptist Church of Cornell. And so that's why I'm suggesting and I'm submitting before us that we're going to be the ones that go out. We cannot be the ones that sit around and see the darkness around us and not say, look, I will shine the light of Jesus Christ. And so I suggest, and I'm putting it out this way, sent, S-E-N-T, sent to engage our neighborhood together. And if we're going to do it, we got to see the harvest. So Matthew chapter 9, as I walk towards the text, Jesus is traveling, and I love the way Jesus does it. He is not afraid to walk into places. He is not afraid to go different places. You ought to see what he does in Matthew chapter 9. He starts healing people that other people avoid. He starts sitting with sinners and people that people wouldn't normally sit with. So what does that mean to us? That means us in this village, we will engage people that sometimes won't get seen. And it means that we might sit down in adventurers and still be believers in a place where others would not even go. And we're going to be okay with it. And we're going to share the gospel, still be believers, still be Christians, and they will know us by the love that we show. We're going to show Jesus in places, and maybe some people are going to see it, and they're going to wonder, what is it about those people? And they're going to say, well, and we're going to say, it's the Jesus in us. And so he goes about, he's teaching, he's preaching, he's healing, and he goes about, in verse 35, it says, all the cities, all the villages. And he was present in the community. How many churches only do the fatal three? Meet, greet, and eat. Honestly, how many churches, that's all they do? And that is the reason why. And so many churches, well, I mean, we have a good, loving church. And that's all. We meet, greet, and eat. And never go out. That's not our charge. I'm not talking about First Baptist. But I'm talking about churches all across, everywhere. We have to be the church everywhere. And so that's the point here. As I look this, Jesus, when he looks, verse 36 shifts to Jesus and the activity of his heart. It says now he looks and he sees the people. He does more than looking. The Greek word, he looks at them, but it's a deep, deep perception. And he says, look, he's just really compassionate. It's a gut level compassion. When we see people that don't know Christ, when we see people that probably are spiritually dead or struggling, lost, wondering what do I do with them? That was his response. It was a gut level compassion. He wasn't irritated. That wasn't it. He was just moved by their condition. And so my first point is number one, Jesus saw the people. That's the first thing he saw. He saw the people. He saw the people. I mean, he didn't just glance. He looked at them with full intention at real people and carrying a real emptiness. He looked and he saw the people, and the disciples stood in the same crowd and saw the same people, the same faces. And Jesus, no, I see them differently. These are souls, not just scenery. That's a whole different way of looking at things. When you look and you see people, I promise you, you don't want to see things the way I see on a Sunday morning. I am totally weird. I'm weird then. Because I tell you what, every time I walk around, drive around anywhere, if I go to Casey's, if I stop anywhere, my first thought is, I wonder, are they going to church? I wonder, can they give up 1 hour just to worship? 1 hour just to say, look, God, you're in control. 1 hour, I give back because I know you gave to me. 1 hour, I'm wondering if they are. And Jesus is just compassionate. And so he's moved with compassion because they were weary and scattered. And now the words for weary and scattered describe people that are worn down and feel like they've been thrown aside. There are some people that are harassed by life. I mean, when you look, when life, for some people, some of us, we're okay. But there are others around us that are truly being harassed by life, discouraged by whatever burdens there are, spiritually exhausted. And so now, when we look at it, Cornell, right now it looks very peaceful. But you never know, behind closed doors, there's anxiety, broken relationships, there's some hidden grief that's in there, some spiritual confusion. It's all over the place. And so now, do we just sit back and say, okay, yeah, I know it's there, and people have it, or do we address it? And so now, if we don't ever see the exhaustion, we'll never see the urgency for evangelism. Jesus saw the people. But here's what he also saw. He saw the pain. His pain, the way he looked at it and the way he describes it, he says, look, I see the people, and I see, this number two, Jesus saw the pain. That's my point number two. And he says, look, they look like sheep having no shepherd. Sheep without a shepherd, they're not rebellious, they're vulnerable. Sheep will follow anybody. Whatever comes up, oh, that looks good, that sounds good, it's pretty good. And they'll go with anything. They'll wander, they'll drift anywhere. They'll follow even the wrong voice. And he looks at him, there's this gut-wrenching grief. That Jesus was moved to his core when he saw it. The crowd surrounding Jesus was not without leadership. That's when I looked at this text. That's where I had a question. How do you look and say that they look like sheep without a shepherd? When Rome is the government, why do you say that they look like they don't have any leadership? The wrong leadership is as good as not having no leadership at all. That's the issue. That's why I question the text. You got Rome, you got a government, you got a governor, you got it all. And so he says, look, no, that's it. The issue is Rome governed with iron efficiency. The Pharisees and scribes were there, and they had religious structure. The synagogues were full. The temple still stood. But every outward measure, these people had shepherds, political, religious, and institutional. But Jesus looked past every Roman standard and every religious title and saw the truth. They were still spiritually helpless. I would contend and challenge that there are churches that are helpless. I would contend that there are people that have Bibles nicer and bigger than mine and still helpless. I would contend that there are people that know what John 3:16 is and still helpless. I know people that know the Lord's Prayer from our Father all the way down to the Amen, but are still helpless. And that's what Jesus says needs to be addressed. And so the word, this Greek word in there where it says that they were like sheep that were having no leader. The Greek word also means to be harassed. That's why I keep using the word. It carries the idea of having trouble, to be worn down, to be thrown about. And the word helpless, cast down and discarded, meaning like something thrown to the ground and left there. I went to Montego Bay, Jamaica. And one of the things that I saw that blew my mind, I went to the one grocery store that's the equivalent of Walmart. Okay, no, there's more than one thing that blew my mind. Let me give you the first one. The first thing that blew my mind was where they kept their fish at. Their fish was next to the cereal. There was no refrigeration. It was next to the cereal. I said, what is going on with this? And then they told me the fish is packed with salt, and the salt would always preserve the fish. So they didn't need refrigeration like we do. I said, oh, that's strange. That's strange. Madison, that's weird. That's what I call it. Weird. So that was it. But now, the one thing that I'm strange that goes with this is this. This lesson is this. I paid for my food in Jamaican J's, and their money is different, things like that. And then when they gave me my change back, I was happy to have all these Jamaican coins, and I was putting them all in my pocket, looking all at them. But there's one of them that had this copper look to it. And I put my money in my pocket, and I noticed everybody else who walked out threw the copper ones on the ground. Everyone threw the copper ones on the ground. And here I am, the American. Doesn't know any better. I got every one of them. I was picking them up. It had no value to them, but it meant everything to me. You're going to see it in a minute. Do you know sometimes there are people that feel like they don't have much value? And the thing about Jesus, he looks at all of us. And even when we might feel like we may not have a value, Jesus says, I want to pick you up. You have every bit of value to me. And you might have been tossed, but every bit of value to me. And he says, look, I want you to know you don't belong down there. I got in the car with a handful of coins. Jesus says, you belong in my hands and not to be thrown down and cast out. That's the whole thing. And so people, and he says, look, when you see people in your neighborhoods, whatever street that you go on, and I don't care if you're in Ransom or if you're in Dana, if you're right here in Cornell or Streeter, if you see people, understand these are people that Jesus wants us to get down and pick up and to share a truth of gospel with them. Rome could build roads, but Rome couldn't shepherd a soul. The Pharisees could recite the law, but the Pharisees could not carry a broken heart. Political power and religious performance are never a substitute for the kingdom of God. And so now the crowds had Caesar's government and they had the temple's religion. And that's not enough. And they're still wandering like sheep with no one who truly knew them, loved them, or could lead them to God. That's the issue. So now this is, that's the world we live in. This is Cornell. Our neighbors we got a government. We got a school system. We got a social media. We got religious backgrounds. But beyond the structures, the systems, everyone does not get to a shepherd unless the church goes to the streets. I hope I said something. And so now evangelism, let me talk about it. Evangelism is so not condemning people, pointing fingers at people. It's not that at all. It's just, and you know what? I'm not just introducing you or inviting you to a church. I'm really inviting you to a shepherd. I am truly introducing you. I just want to make sure you have a good relationship with God. I really want you to make sure that you are comfortable in your relationship with God. That's all it is. And if you can just smile and say that, give a hug and a handshake and say, look, it's just Jesus and we just want to make sure you got it. And that's it. And so now that's where we are. And so this good shepherd that we want them to know is the same good shepherd in John chapter 10. So many people aren't rejecting Christ. They have never really been guided to him. The pain Jesus saw it wasn't poverty, it wasn't sickness. It was the deepest human ache of them all. People were living without a shepherd who could save them. So yeah, my first point, Jesus saw the people. Jesus saw the pain. Number 3, Jesus saw the possibility. Jesus saw possibility. I think that's great. When people just say, you know what? This is just let them be. Let this generation be. Yeah. Gene, you just don't know. This is a different generation that we're living in. It is different. Don, it's not the same like when we were growing up. This is a different generation. School is not the same school, Bob. When we went to school, it's not the same school. The rules are different, changed on us. And so now we look at this harvest, and Jesus says, look, I see, as strange as it is, weird as it is, I got some possibility. And Jesus says it this way. He says, the harvest is plentiful. Wait a minute. Not the seed. No, he's got past the seed being planted. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. He says not. So Jesus says the problem isn't with the people. The problem is with the workers. Jesus doesn't say the harvest is small or the soil is hard or that the people aren't ready. You know, people are ready. We just got to be able to go with the right message. He says the harvest is plentiful. The only crisis is the shortage of workers willing to go out. The word harvest, it suggests readiness. That's what the Greek word means. It means readiness. And so in our language of farming community, he's saying to us, hey, look, it's that time. We know what it's like in September and October. We know what it's like when the field is ready. God has already been working in Cornell. Do you know this? Here's the issue. You know what? A lot of people left church and they're leaving church and they're looking at church. They say, well, look, I just saw in the news, you know what that pastor did? If that's what they're doing, then I don't want any part of it. Yeah, I'm not coming to church. You know, all they want is money. You know that pastor, he drives a Rolls Royce. And I don't. And I don't. That pastor is in a helicopter from there to there, got a jet plane or this craziness, this big old house, and I don't. And we're not talking about here, but it's the conviction that's on the church because of what's being portrayed when the church does not act like the church. Jesus says, look, the people are ready, but we have to let them know, look, that excuse that you got, that's not it. Well, COVID, you know, I haven't been back to church since COVID. Newsflash. The church kept going past COVID. The church is stronger than COVID. And I don't even know what else might come. Another strain, another strife, but we're still stronger than that struggle that comes up. And so here's the thing. We're ready, but we got to go. We have to invite people and say, yeah, I'm ready for you to come. The need in our community is never the obstacle. The willingness is of God's people, and we're the missing piece. My last point number 4. Jesus saw the prayer time. So he says, look, all right, knowing that, you know, the harvest is there, it's the laborers that are few. He says this, turn it around. He says, I need some people there to pray about it. Everybody's not going to get to go door to door. Everybody's not going to do that. Everybody's not going to, we have a vision of us going out and just stopping by, take a street and we just do something. Everybody's not going to walk door to door. But we need some people that'll start with a prayer. He says, pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. He said, before you get to going, before you get out there, pray first. And so this word send out is a strong word. It doesn't mean just to toss them out there. It does not mean that at all. The Greek, it means really to really thrust them out there and get out there and push forward with some real urgency. If you want the gospel to get out there, if you want to be out there doing the work that he's calling us to do, you got to get out there and thrust out there as if you really want to be out there without focus, without losing focus, losing your strength. Oh, it's too cold. Oh, it's raining. It might do something to my hair. Now, I say that facetiously, but honestly, it doesn't take much to turn a Christian around, a believer around. I'm wanting to understand when God says you need to go and you answer the call, there's nothing else to do but to go. You don't show up late, you show up early, and you show up ready, and you show up prayed up and be able to be sent out. Everyone has this call. I started the year with all hands on deck. And this is that time. A call for all hands to be on deck. And let's get ready to go. And then he says, now, don't complain about the darkness. Don't complain about anything. But just pray for the workers. Pray for workers. And notice, it is his harvest. It's not about building our church. It's not about anything else. This is his harvest. So here's where I'm at now. So now, Jesus saw the weary, he saw the scattered, and he didn't stay distant. He became the shepherd who laid down his life for his sheep. The cross is compassion in motion. And so if we see compassion, meaning you see people out there, your old friends, remember some of the people that who haven't been to church in such a long time? You remember some of them that used to go to this church and now they don't go to this church at all? And they're not going to any other church, they're just at the house. Remember, you got people that are even at your own family that aren't going anywhere. And so now we're saying, look, I'm compassionate. I see the compassion. The cross is compassion in motion. Evangelism is simply extending what Jesus did on the cross into the community. I said, that was pretty good. I like that one. I didn't know it was coming, but I'm going to say it again. Evangelism is taking what Jesus did on the cross and extending it to the community. So here's my challenge. I'm going to ask this. I've said this word sent. This sent to engage our community, our neighborhood together. I'm wanting to make a big deal about this. I'm willing to make a really big deal about it. Pray daily for God to help you see people. Ask him to burden your heart for just one street, one household, whatever it's going to be. And as we prepare over the next 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to happen that fast. Commit to participate in being sent. I'm just asking us to be ready. We don't go because we're pressured. We go because we're moved. We're not just people who are attending church. We are sent disciples, sent ambassadors for Jesus Christ. Let us pray. Gracious God, we acknowledge that you are calling us with a great call, and we thank you for it. You don't look at us as people who will not go. You will call us and empower us to go. You're giving us the urgency, and I thank you for that. Now, God, our prayer is going to be